Hello everyone. Welcome to watching our show that is embracing your design for midlife transformation. And the tagline is come alive to impact more lives. Today we have our guest, Katrina Rice, but she called herself Cat Rice, but then the nickname is Rainbow Pixie. So that's my honor to have her come to our show today. So let Kat to introduce herself.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Kat. I call myself the Rainbow Pixie because I had a lot of experience and I usually see the light and the beauty at the end of it. I figured I could utilize that into some of the creative things that I do on a daily basis. And I've always been told that I've had very much like a fairy and very rainbowy energy when I'm out and about. So I was like, well, might as well flow with it, right? So that's kind of where I got that name. But yeah, I was introduced to human design just over 3 years ago, and it really changed a lot in my life. It really let me see a lot of direction and areas where I kind of went out of direction, and see there's still areas I'm learning. It's such a big thing, right? And I'm learning that
Yes.
it takes 7 years to fully really incorporate, right? So
Mm-hmm,
I'm just
mm-hmm.
on the journey with it now, and learning how to express with it and be in my hermit state at this point because I am a 6-2 manifesting generator. So I really do love it. It's something that's opened up my heart a lot and helped me in my healing journey.
Yes, I think we all come down here in the 3D is a purpose to really discover who we are. And
Really.
these certain points, at least for myself, it's like it just kind of opened up. It's like, oh, I need to wake up now. So you will have like downloading or whatever the experience and let us to start to see ourselves differently. And you mentioned you are the 6-2 manufacturing generator. I'm the generator too, but I'm the pure generator, which I learned from the design. I need to be working hard in all the level so then I can master it and I can move to the next. But for people like manifesting generator, they usually like skill to take shortcuts. Then they can move faster. But then because they skip step, because one of my son is manufacturing generator. Holy moly, he will forget about where's the key, put in there, he's going there, so, oh, I forgot something. Then he need to come back to get it, and he don't remember where they put it. So I don't know whether that is something you experience in your life because you're living, but then you have to come
Absolutely.
back to get something done. Is that something you experience?
Oh, so much, so much. Like, especially in like the whole learning how to put businesses together and all that kind of stuff. I would like to take 10 steps forward, have to track back forward, take three forward, take two back. Like, it was just like, okay, I just need to slow down a little bit, take some time to rest, right? And come back at it when I'm a little more filled, right? So it was like, it's been like, and it's so funny how literally the two are connected like with almost like ADHD like symptoms, and I was diagnosed with that in my adult years, and I was like, I don't really feel like it's like that, but I do feel it's just like this weird placement of energy, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it's kind of funny how everything kind of comes full circle as well, right?
The human design system for me and gene keys too, they are all together in the whole system, is really led us to reflect a little bit, like a lot of challenging situations we consider challenges or failures or something. But once we know our profile and kind of contemplated about this is not a shortcoming, it's just the way we deal with it, our perception, maybe label them as something is not good. But
Yeah.
when we see the profile, we contemplate and say, wait a minute, that's who I am. But the mistake, if we jump in too far or jump in too fast without
Yeah.
thinking, that actually is because we not understand our energy flow. We don't understand our talents or in a special
Yeah.
gift, right? So I think
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of turn around and say, wait a minute, if I can just declare and claim or reclaim this is who I
Yeah.
am, and I understand myself, then I choose the right strategies and authority, then things start to flow differently. So I don't know whether you have any story that you can share with our audience. Like, have you, after you studied human design system, did you have some kind of refining
Well, I
process?
definitely had lots of like reflection, right? So, and I could see the patterns and see how they all interconnected. With the 6-2, you have the first 30 years of your life and you make that big transition. Well, I definitely did that in my life. 30 years old, I'm pretty sure everyone thought I lost my mind because I like quit my job, left my husband. It was, very, very unhealthy relationship to begin with, but it was the thing that started my awakening and really started my deep healing.
Mhm.
And then over the 10 years, 30 years old, right? You hit 40, I did it again, made another big transition. And this is when, right before I actually learned about human design, but I had this deep pull, this
Mm,
deep pull to go deep into the mountains and just be alone for a while and just not really interact with a lot of people. And I ended up in like probably the most magical little place I could actually go to start my healing.
mm,
And I kind of like manifested it without even like with little to no effort. And I didn't understand, I was just putting it out there and just doing my thing, and everything lined up beautifully in its own way. But in its own way, it also deconstructed all the ego and all the beliefs and stuff like that, right? So it was quite a learning experience, but I could see
mm,
how I was going into my hermit state. That was the
mhm.
start of my deeper awakening because it's the start of my shadow work and doing all the deeper stuff, right? So
Yes. Mhm.
I was really blessed to be in a spot that was deep in the mountains and close to healers, and in a space that I was really surrounded by a lot of love, and it taught me how to trust, which is huge, right? So
Yes, yes.
yeah, there's
Mhm.
been so many synchronicities and like just kind of like magical little moments that have happened since then, with some really deep lessons as well. Like deep lessons, right? So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. We cannot
yeah.
really control what's going on next day, right? But we can also
Oh,
control our attitude. Like, okay, I just enjoy the moments.
I think the last 3 years, it's really brought that out in a lot of people. I definitely
Mhm.
got thrown right into it because, like, when I moved over into that beautiful little valley or whatever, but COVID happened and everything was restricted and we were shut into our homes. And so it
Mm,
really forced me to really catch up into my creative side. And
yes,
like I started doing pour painting and artwork and all these things that my inner child was just like dying to do but never got the chance to do, right?
yes,
So
yes, yes,
it
yes. I
was
mean, yeah, the pauses for me, because I'm also the tiny habit coach, which I teach people to do strategic pausings during the day so they can boost their energy the right time. And I really, for me, the more pause I do, the more energy I can generate after that. Particular for our generator, we are sacral beings, very
absolutely,
energetic. The engine room is always running. But if we don't really know we need some break, then we just continue to
absolutely.
run, finally the vitality is going to drop. But
Yeah.
I think that's how amazing I see your profile. Everything you said, the mountain will make you healthy based
Well,
on the
exactly,
gene
right? And
keys.
it's kind
Yeah.
of funny because I just moved away from the mountains again, and now I'm like, I'm longing back for the mountains, And when I read that whole subconscious, like that was part of my subconscious trying to pull me in, I was like, oh, I could so see it. Like I've always been drawn to the mountains. I'm one of those people that you could let loose in the mountains and I never get lost. Like it's weird. Like I feel like I'm home there.
Mm,
When I could see all those little kind of patterns kind of coming through, it was like, okay. And And just the fact that I was starting to see patterns with it was so cool, like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
brought a lot of awareness, where I was
Mm-hmm,
blind and I was like,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
wow,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I can see the define you as manifested generator other than your sacral connect with your throat, but you also connect with the spleen. That is the 57. That gate, I have that too, is really intuitive. That means when you're running your energy, actually you brought in your awareness through your
yeah,
spleen center. So that how you can sense, you can feel like directions through you, then you just follow through. Sometimes if you peace enough, slow enough, you will
yeah.
follow the lead. But sometimes we are all generated with this little engine. They say, I can, I do, then
Yeah.
that
Well,
is
and
become
especially with the
tough.
open head, right? Like the open head,
Mm-hmm.
everything's just coming and going. And I'm like, I don't know. I got so many ideas. I'm like, so, right? And I'm like, but then I have no, like, I've got so many that I stretch myself, right? And then I'm like, okay,
Yes.
I'm burnt out. I need a week or a month to take a nap and I'm good, like, and it's literally like that. Like I just crash at that point, right? And so that's where I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
seeing where I'm stretching myself and
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah, yeah,
more narrow, needing to narrow it
yeah.
more.
Focus
So
on something really matter, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. Well, and that's why I kind of really fell in love with the Gene Keys, like and human design, because I was like, I see so much potential with this, like so much heartfelt potential on how this could help in so many ways.
Yes,
And
yes.
that just lights me right up. Like I see this as like such a big thing. I'm probably raw. I was like, oh, but I see like if they were to use these in schools and mothers should get these when they get their children and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, like it's such a beautiful thing. And
Exactly.
especially I just had a grandchild not that long ago and that really like it showed me how to connect with that inner child even more. It's such a beautiful experience. And
Yes.
knowing the charts, it's like I know how to work with him now. Had I had this with my children, oh my God, game changer. Telling ya.
Yeah. And think about how much the energy we can save for the planet Earth. So we don't waste the energy to fix, to do something silly or make ourselves angry. At the same time, we do need to go through struggles and challenges and become wiser.
Yeah,
And that is how the Gene Keys to me is really I label it as a 3D roadmap because you are in this 3D chaotic world. It's a lot of distractions, a lot of things. You don't understand why you want to do it. It's just the drive push you to do it. But
yeah,
then after you do a certain time, then you will have evolution, right? So
yeah,
at the golden path, I think I just want everybody to know it's a consist or three sequences. One is activation sequence, that's your doing and being. And
yeah.
usually we don't know our being because we just do because people program us from very young age. We just need to do,
Exactly.
right? But
Yeah,
then, of course, doing too many things, we start to feel confused. What I'm doing now, I don't feel happy at all. Then that
yeah,
is the point after the challenge. We will have some breakthroughs go to the other side, right?
yeah.
That the other side, sometimes we maybe feel before, but we're not sure because they are more like the invisible force. But then
Mm,
once you see it and understand that is still part of you, right? You
yeah,
just practice that energy. And then that is then lead us to reflect to our past, and that's the Venus sequence. So we can go back to our you self and um, the very, very innocent child and go in there, revisit them, then you can start to let it go because that is not us. It's still just trapped
mm,
energy, the memory, right? But then
absolutely.
that is the the fun part after we all clean up, we all align with our true self, then we start to see a path, like how
Yeah,
we share our gift, how can we
yeah,
impact other and put the next generation or somebody around us to benefit with what we going through, right? So that's the three sequence in the gene keys.
And that's what I really want to start diving into, like myself. I really love, like, I just look at gene keys as the heart. It's the heart of the human design. It's the portals to knowing. And I really it's such an in-depth and beautiful thing because it is directly connected to our genes and our genomes and our like even
Yes.
on a scientific level, like it's so beautiful.
Hmm.
And I just like I really want to be able to learn how to share that and learn more about that within myself. Truly
Hmm.
believe that I need to know me fully and know how this process really aligns with myself before I start going out into the world and bringing it in. And I know I have time because I'm, shining at 50, right? So it's, like I know that the process is beautiful and gradual and sometimes even in the chaos, you don't understand it while it's there, but then you can see how all the puzzle pieces start to work together.
Hmm.
And
Yes,
like,
yes.
yeah, like the last, like since 2018, I could see how much it was literally going through all of those things that you were just talking about, right? It was the shedding and and forgiving and working with the inner child and learning what I can do and processing and really just looking at the world in a whole new view, but also
Mhm.
realizing where I was in alignment in the past as well. I was still in flow, whether I realized it or not. Or I kind of gave my power away and how that affected my flow and stuff. So it's been a very beautiful unfolding, even in the chaos. You don't fully understand until you're sitting at back and actually being the observer of it, right? So
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, you
yeah,
say it beautifully because when people sound, oh, I'm on the spiritual path, so I should stay there forever because I'm enlightenment.
yeah,
Well, in the 3D world, that is not a way of living, in my opinion. Like we need to know
no,
how to flow. Like from the low vibe,
exactly.
then we
And on a high
understand
vibe.
that is the pattern we don't want to get in, then we can just choose the other way. But this doesn't mean that need to be killed. And a lot of us say, I killed
No,
the ego, that.
I
I was like,
know.
well, if you it's a duality here. If you're losing one side, even you try to lose it, it's no way, impossible. You can
Well,
eliminate the other side. You need to know how to flow together.
exactly.
Then
And we
make
don't
the
realize that that
choice.
ego is directly attached to our confidence and
Mhm.
our ability to shine. It's being able to look at it from a different perspective and become friends with it, really. Like
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I think it's just the deconstructing of all that conditioning that comes around everything. And
Yes.
everyone has to go through those little parts, especially when they're an emotional. Oh my God, when they're an emotional, like when I understood about how, you go through these highs and then you crash and you go through these lows and nobody can bring you out of that. Like it's like you just need to flow through it.
If we allow it, right? The energy
Yeah,
coming and going, particularly we talk about, open gates and channels and center, because those is actually amazing places for us to transform ourselves because those things not consistent. So if
yeah,
someone passing you, they have a different channel, you just feel different trigger. And the planetary, the moon, all this energy will give us the information. Then we respond to that information differently. So we
yeah,
cannot really block any energy. And we
yeah,
are the energy, right? We
exactly.
contribute to the whole planetary energy. And I think it's the best way for us to aware our profile, aware where is our transformative points, and just open to experience because there's nothing right or wrong. It's just
No,
our label, right? We say, oh, I don't feel
absolutely.
comfortable. It must be something wrong. Well, the comfortable is just our mind like it because they are already been there for years,
Well, that is the
right?
ego, right? It is. The ego tries to keep you in that place to keep you
Yeah.
safe, right?
Hmm.
I can see how I go into those patterns though of being like, okay, I can do this, this, and then I'm like, okay, oh, I'm gonna break, and then I get really comfortable, really comfortable. And then I'm like, okay, I got to get back on it again. And that's where I'm finding a little bit of a hard time with the consistency of it and learning how to work with that and knowing how to work with that consistent flow and dip and up and down. It's interesting, especially the more I'm observing it, or we observe it, it really it becomes more visual, like it truly does.
There's a 3 different spectrum of consciousness. So it'd be shadow gifts, that mean, well, creativity, we are floating with ideas. And the city is kind of ancient term, meaning you're just like a pure energy, like the lights, like the sun. So that is actually, we do have the ability to do it, but in order to achieve that is really, we need to achieve the 3D first. So that means we can move from the shadow to the gift and start to contribute our creativity and flow with life, accepting, allowing, and enjoying, all this flowing kind of energy. Then we might have opportunity to practice and go to the city. But I think everybody will have this 4 prime gifts based on the gene keys, the golden path, on the activation sequence. So our life work, evolution, and we break through, become radiance that make us healthy, and go down to finally align with our life purpose. And that 4 prime gifts from your profile, Kat, I'm just like, wow.
I'm curious now because I'm like, oh, I'm already seeing, like, just from what you're saying, the synchronicities in my life already, just from those few words. So it's
Well, your life work is 46. In ancient I Ching, that means a rising. You're just go higher and higher. That is your directions. But you start with a seriousness. You are like, I want to be grounded. I want to do a lot of solid things, or, a lot of learning curve for you. But you got a chance to shift to your highest expression is ecstasy. So when you're in that state, that means you are super happy. But in that energy, it's not like, you win a lottery, that kind of happy. It's like you align, you feel like you are just happiness itself. You know what I mean? So that is you, potentially your brand too, because the life work, you start with the low vibe, but then you were through a lot of challenges and floating alignments, and you finally can express that's your brand. And even with your evolution, see, we talk about evolution, the gene key, it's not evolution to fight back and to change, to eliminate. It's evolution to love ourselves. So on the evolution, you are 25, and that is universal love. I mean, you're not limited love to only certain thing or constriction. That's the low vibe. And you open up to love everything you encounter, because you are love yourself, right?
I do. I'm literally like, I'm like, hello, little plant. Hello, like, I love you all.
So you're on the way to go to universal love because you accept yourself. The gift frequency is acceptance. So you through from constriction, want to attach, want to hold on things, to be accept and let it be, right? Then practice acceptance and all that more and more, you finally get to universal love. So that is evolution.
That's so crazy, because that's literally how I felt, like, as I was fighting with that whole ego death thing and like the whole concept of it. And I literally felt like I was dying at points because it was just like, like my whole heart and soul was just like restricting in its own way, because I was trying to kill parts of myself. It was like, it was very, very, like, just the way you said that, I could see how that really interlinks, and especially in my experience, it was very, very difficult at that time. It was
Well, it's really does. When we think about detoxification, like Earth right now is in the detox process, so they eliminate a lot of those things out with the energy field. We are floating with the Mother Earth, so we are doing the same thing. But a lot of people maybe have a wrong label about discomfort. They think that
Yeah,
discomfort is bad. They want to eliminate it. They want to take it
yeah,
out. There's all pressures, right? But
absolutely.
if you knowing that it's just a process, you think about all the negativity, crying, sweating, pain will be gone with the Mother Earth, right?
It literally is. And I can honestly say, like, when I started this whole process, like, I was a hairdresser of 20 some odd years, very well at my job. Like, and I literally was having like so much just thrown at me. All these things that I
Mm,
desired was just like poop, 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 when I reflected back on it. And then I decided to start doing like deeper stuff, and I was really searching outside of myself for all of it. And that's when I started to kind of be disconnected from myself, and I didn't really kind of see that until I got my human design, and I was like, "Oh, I see where I'm giving my power here, where I've given my power here, where I've, really kind of disassociated from my true self." And also where I was neglecting her in the past too, where I wasn't allowing all of the expensive funness of myself to really shine.
Well,
Yeah,
that is how we all has this opportunity to turn the crisis into something better, right? So when
yeah,
we go through the radiance and life purpose and finally realize we are coming here to do something special. So for you, Kat, your radiance key, that is part of the being keys, is 52. So in ancient I Ching, that is the double mountain. And that's the wisdom about we need to go, the mountain is big and huge in front of us. But when we try to get in, don't try to go into the top right away. So we need to kind of rest and pause and enjoy the scenery and then go on to the top, right? Particularly you are
yeah,
6'2", you need to using your wisdom, you are already kind of an observer energy. But then
yeah,
on the number two, your hermit, that means you need to kind of get it in and digest a little bit. Then you
yeah,
move on to the next. So that actually we're balanced with your manifesting generator because you're not forging ahead all the time. You have a lot of chance to pause, then
yeah.
reflect, and that actually help you to keep your body great.
Energy flowing. And it's so funny because I was until I started making the shift and I changed it. I went up to the Arctic where it's cold, 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 and had, like a very interesting experience out here. But I do see how it pulled me back into that 3D, which is something I needed. Because I was so high on the 5D that it was almost unrealistic. And I could see when I reflect back on my social media, you can see literally every little wave that I went through, but I still always had others as my focus. It's always still about sharing, not just the bad, but the good beauty that I saw with it, and trying to
Mhm.
create ways of that kind of stuff. But then eventually that fizzled out and I got, okay, I'm tired of it all. And
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of went into my cave fully. And the Arctic kind of brought that out. But
yeah, yeah. But because of the low vibe for 52 is a stress. We all have a stress coming from a lot of places in our body. But from your human design chart, you have the open root center, and that is really the target for stress. Stress hormones are all there. So when you're empty, that means you're easy to be boosted by somebody is
yeah,
defined, or you just have so many dreams, you want to get it done now. And
yeah,
that
and that's
pressure really just
literally how it
pushing
was.
your root center. Yeah, that's how you are. Most of a younger age, you feel stressed, you want to do something, pushing and
Yeah,
just charging along, right? But then
yeah,
that you have a chance to shift to the highest, that's the stillness. The
yeah,
stillness, just like a mountain, right? You are far there, like no movement. They are just there to just guide you to go somewhere. But the stillness also indicate you are really just not separate from the universe, right?
oh,
You are the universe,
yeah,
right? Because you are not have any against about that beautiful energy. You just being part of it. You're not separate from it. So your
No, and that's
stillness
where,
is the highest.
yeah, I'm like, my delusional part would still love to just sit in the moss and the trees and just live there happily ever after, you know, like, but I do love people and I love interacting and I kind of miss that part of it. And you know, it was funny because when I learned about the 6-2 profile, like when I learned, I was like, well, this is a conundrum. Like I can't be a role model in a hermit. Like this doesn't make sense, you know? But as I learn more about it, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense with my life right now. It makes so much sense. Like it aligns so perfectly. And I was just like in shock almost, like true shock. I was like, wow, okay, this is really interesting and something I need to know more, like much more.
Well, then get to your purpose. That is really fun. The beginning, the low vibe is dissatisfaction, but we
Yeah.
all born dissatisfied, right? We
Yeah.
all want to make improvement. We want to become somebody we are not. That is just a human tendency. But for
Yeah.
you, the life purpose is from that point, you're not happy with who you were, but then you are doing all this different work and experience something, and finally you go to this bliss.
Yeah.
See, the bliss again is really a state. It's not even able to say anything. You just feel your flow with anything, with it,
Yeah.
and you can let go the stress and this
I'm
dissatisfaction,
getting
all
actually a
that.
lot better at that. Like I can honestly say, you know, you know, I was in like hermit mode for 3 years and I really just was like the artist and all that kind of stuff. And then I went out and got a 9 to 5 job again. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? I am like a feral at this point. I don't know, you know, kind of thing. And I didn't realize how powerful my voice was. I realized how my energy was, though. Like I could
Mhm.
actually see how when I walked in a room, energy would shift within the room and stuff like that. And it was not necessarily in a bad way, but it was just I could see the energy shift. And
That's how our energy, generator energy is needed for everywhere, right? If we
yeah,
don't create a nice energy, then the people like projector, reflector, and the manifacturer, they don't have the energy, and they take our wrong energy into their body, then they become frustration too.
yeah,
So we are really just need to be, there's solution for the whole piece and everything is on the generator. If a generator
yeah.
can create a piece and nice coherent energy to the planetary earth, then everybody will feel that, then we can
Hmm,
flow together nicely. But
that's true.
again, that is individual choice. But we do have, once we're aware our power, once we understand all the shortcoming and all this failure we label in the past, it's not, it's just different level of the consciousness. Once you start to move it up, unleash the creativity and start to accept who we
Yeah.
are, who others, and don't think we need to change, save the world. No one can save the world. We can save ourselves. But if we save
Well,
ourselves, and
that
everybody is
whole
saved.
martyr. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So.
totally seen that like literally and like and fear was actually part of my motivation and I was like, "Whoa,
Mhm.
that's interesting." Like and I can honestly say like while I was in that space working through I worked through so much fear in that space and I had to physically feel and experience some of it. Honestly, I was in my most connected and creative space with that little bit of fear driving me.
We are not going to fail. There's no failure in anybody's dictionary. It's just experience and how we accept and how we process that experience.
Yeah.
But I think, for you, you're definitely, you can live in the bliss. That's your life purpose. And your radiance make you very happy and very like who you are. And that is stillness. And that is tough for generator, I know. So we definitely need to practice more of the pausing and just be still like a mountain. And
Well,
the other one is universal love. That's your evolution because you definitely is the messenger for love. You bring
well, and it's
universal
so funny
love.
because I find that that's always been one of my biggest challenges too. Like
Mhm.
one of my biggest challenges. Like I've always had this deep wanting of understanding unconditional love, but in all realization, I never really experienced it.
Yeah.
So it was something I didn't know how to put the two and two together. And it wasn't until I started unraveling all this stuff.
Number actually can tell us a lot of stories,
It
right? The
does.
line, all that. That's how the ancient, not only the Chinese, like in the time over there, really we are all in this e-
Yeah,
math formula with the connection, they call it sacred geometry. So we always link with numbers and they indicate different type of energy. Then we have
yeah,
this 360-degree outside of the human design system, that is all the astrologies and all the four seasons and all this
yeah,
different purpose and those kinds of run it's just the language we really need to learn, right? If we
yeah,
learn the language from the nature and we not really judge ourselves and brain others, and we just
yeah,
listen to the information every transits every 5 to 6 days, ding, we have some
yeah,
information send it from our friendly universe, then that life can be very, very fun, like a little kids
yeah,
again. Would you
me
like to
too.
share like the Rainbow Pixie? Is there anything in the future you perceive you will gonna be doing?
Well, I do. Right now, I've been working with all of the spiritual teachings that I have taught and put it on canvas. So I've been doing art and creating the
Mm,
beautiful art to showcase my experience, but also the growth and the lessons and the beauty that comes from it, right? And everything that I do is rainbow with sparkles and
mm.
but my goal is to get my certification in Gene Keys and to utilize that with some of the teachings that I've learned along the way and to help others with that as well. That's kind of my big vision. And to see it go into the schools and go into the, stuff like that so we can start, teaching our young ones a little bit more about it and how beautiful it is.
Yes,
And kind of go
yes.
back to a little bit more of the older ways, of learning how to teach our kids to be completely in love with themselves.
Oh, that is such a great goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I
That's
don't
all we
need
have
to
to do.
spend all my like 30, 40 years to fix myself, I just enjoy myself. That is
Exactly.
really going to be different story, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And my kids teach, I think that's the great thing is when you watch your children, even the rebellious ones, they are teaching us things. They are amazing little mirrors and like I really would love to be able to help them see how beautiful they are in those mirrors. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kat, I really appreciate you to
thank
join
you
me to
so
share
much.
your stories and stuff. And for audience, if you interested to be my guest, I have a link put down there. Just we can have a conversation. You can share your business. We just want to open up to discuss anything with our human design chart or gene key profile. They can really tell us a lot of story we might not know.
And
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 also, if you enjoyed this conversation, remember to subscribe and share with your friend. Don't try to fix it. We don't need to be fixed. We just need to love ourselves. So, thank you, Kat, for being here.
thank you so much. It was so wonderful. I really appreciate it. Muchly.
Okay,
Learned a
bye.
lot.